Welcome, everyone, to Purdue Basketball Live. We are live tonight from Walk-Ons. Purdue Basketball Live is brought to you by GEMCO Constructors as we greet you this evening from the Purdue Memorial Union. Walk-Ons, once again, the host of our Purdue Basketball Live show all season long. Rob Blackman is my name. So nice to have you with us this evening. Thank you for joining. Talk about over the next 60 minutes or so, we'll talk about our Boilers on the men's side opening up the season last night with a 90-73 win over visiting Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We'll talk some women's basketball as well. Our Boilers on the women's side opening the season tomorrow night at Mackey Arena against Purdue Fort Wayne. And then they have a big game coming up this Sunday against top 10 ranked Notre Dame, so we'll talk about that. But first things first, I want to thank you for joining us this evening, whether maybe you're joining us on Facebook or Purdue's YouTube channel, maybe on X, Varsity Network app, old-fashioned way on the radio. However you have found us tonight, thank you. And thanks for adjusting your calendar, too, because here we are on a Tuesday night. Normally, the show's on Monday nights here from Walk-Ons at 6:30, but because the Boilermakers were playing last night, we have to move the show to tonight, Tuesday. With that in mind, let me remind you of this. I'll try to remind you again before the show is over. Next week, the show will also be Tuesday night because Purdue men playing Yale next Monday night at Mackey Arena. So next week's show will also be Tuesday night here at Walk-Ons. Most importantly, I hope all of you that are hearing my voice tonight recognize the significance, the importance of what is going on in our great country today. Today marks one of the most pivotal election cycles in the history of the United States of America. And understanding the magnitude of today and the platform with which I have, I feel it is only appropriate that I tell you whom I have voted for President of the United States of America. That person is Paul Lusk, Purdue assistant men's basketball coach, who, wouldn't you know, is with us here tonight. How great is that? It's an exclusive. Only the Purdue Radio Network has this. The rest of the networks, no. They'll be monkeying around with other stuff tonight. We have the candidate, and he is Paul Lusk, and he will be joining me next. We probably won't talk politics, but we will talk a lot of Purdue basketball. That is when we come back live to Walk-Ons, Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Kaufman-Renn with the rebound off the Owen D. Smith, and a quick push up the floor to Lawyer for three.
Braden Smith saw him the entire.
There's Deese. Tipped away at Smith, who got a hand on it. He'll start it up the floor, drops it off in transition, and a finish for. 5 to shoot. Smith finds Kaufman-Renn all alone for three.
12 or 13 rebounds that were sucked up by Zach Edey last year.
Here's Kaufman-Renn with the skip. Colvin feeling it early, and that's why. Active hands for the Islanders defense. 6 to shoot. The skip to Colvin. Hot hand again. Colvin with an emphatic dunk. The rejection inside, and Colvin with a finish. Berg, the handoff to Smith. Lob underneath, and Berg gathers and throws it off the left side of the rim with the Islanders.
You'd love to see him just be able to flush this on the lob, but if you didn't feel good about it, you come back down.
Here's Lawyer. The lob underneath and the flush.
Fletcher Lawyer on the dribble drive, and you see those two Islander guards. You've got to be cracking down and make that ball skip out. It's a good look from Lawyer, but it's a defensive breakdown by Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Spin down to the post and Clark. Jacobson with the rejection.
Braden Smith, though, every time, if he should pass, he's passed. If he should shoot, he's shot. Right there, right on.
Williams trying to split. Kaufman-Renn with a takeaway. Here comes Smith.
Give Corpus Christi, though, a lot of credit. They came in here shorthanded, and they really battled Purdue.
Everyone to Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO, live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Purdue Basketball Live show and proud partner to Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says Boiler up. Boilermaker assistant coach on the men's side, Paul Lusk, is my guest tonight on Purdue Basketball Live. Couple of quick things. I think Tim Newton did a pretty good job of explaining this last week, but with our new combined show this year at Purdue Basketball Live, combining both men's and women's basketball, there will be some nights, depending on different conflicts in the schedules, that some nights we'll talk exclusively men's basketball, some nights we'll talk exclusively women's basketball. Tonight's going to be men's basketball heavy, with a couple of nuggets thrown in there about women's basketball, but that's why Coach Lusk is kind enough to join us and talk some Boilermaker men's hoops. And by the way, Paul, I was joking. I didn't actually vote for you today.
Because if you did vote that way, it should be null and void.
Well, I'll tell you, I voted for Zach Edey. That's who I voted for.
That's a good vote.
I think he'd make a pretty decent president. Although being Canadian, there might be, I don't know if that would work out or not. Okay, here's a question.
Of politics.
No, I have one more. Here's one. Tougher job right now. President of the United States, or trying to get all these young guys on our basketball team acclimated to high-level Division I basketball?
We were talking about it earlier, like for all of our fans in particular, the last 3 years were such a well-oiled machine early in the season.
Yeah,
like
right.
It's evident by the games we've won. We haven't lost in the non-conference. Guys have had a great understanding of what we need to do. We're very organized. There's a lot of know-how. That's not the case right now.
Right.
But you've got guys that are in different roles, and then you're playing a bunch of new guys. So we're going to get better. I think we can really grow, but we're not as well oiled right now. But that's to be expected. I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's our job as coaches to help our guys. They're going to get more experience, but we got to get some things figured out.
You know, it's funny you would mention that. Bobby Riddell, my broadcast partner, and I were talking about that last night. Not on the air, actually, but when we went to commercial break. And basically we were saying similar – you forget how good we were, especially early in the season the last 2 years, how, as you said, a well-oiled machine this ball club was until you watched last night's team. Yeah. That's not a knock on last night's team. Last night's team is what most college basketball teams look like early in the season. Yeah. We've become so spoiled the last 2 years. We've just rolled through the months of November and December and made it look easy. And, now this is how the other half lives, right? Trying to bring young guys up to speed and get them ready to play at a high level.
Yeah, they've never been exposed to that. And then, like Braden, Fletch, and Trey, they've always had big roles, but now they're in a different role. It's an even bigger role. And it starts with those guys. But as I looked around at some scores last night, we had some games on up in the office after the game, and there were a lot of close games from schools. So, but we haven't had to deal with any of that the last couple of years. We've been well-oiled. As I said, guys have a great we're really organized. We're always organized on both sides of the ball. We spend a lot of time. I think Coach Painter does a great job of that. And we've just got to continue to get more organized, get guys more reps, get guys in to watch film so they have a greater understanding of what we're trying to do.
You're a guy that played Division I basketball. You have coached in this basically your entire adult life. Is there any for the young, and I'm thinking about the freshmen only, is there anything better for them than actual game experience to help them learn? You try hard to replicate it in practice, but you can't, right?
Yeah,
they have to be out there on the floor.
It's the game experience. It's being in those situations. Practice is very good. But I look at Jakari like last night. I thought the second half he had some difficult times, okay? And when you're a freshman and you're in those somewhat high-pressured moments, like you feel like the walls are closing in, I thought it was really important for him to hit that big three late. Because now all of a sudden he's going to feel better going into that next game. But no, there's no better experience than going through it. And sometimes you're going to fall down and bump your head. Period. We've all done it. We've done it in our life. It's very similar to life. Like, you got to go through some adversity, you got to go through some hard times, and then you pick yourself back up, you get better. Our guys they're willing learners. They want to get better, and they're up there watching a lot of film. And the film's great, right? Yeah, that can help you. But it's the mileage they'll get from those games that's what's going to help them the most.
Man, do you and Bobby Riddell just speak every morning or something?
No, I don't. I don't talk to Bobby.
Because he said the same thing on the air last night about Jacobson when he hit that three.
Yeah.
He said the exact same thing. And he was talking about his playing experience, how, as you said, it feels like the walls start closing in when maybe you missed a few shots or maybe you've made a mistake. And he said the same thing, how big that was just for his psyche to see that ball go in.
I said it right when he hit it. I said, man, that is going to be so good for him. Because it was an important shot, but now all of a sudden he's feeling a little bit better about himself. There was a positive, there were some negatives, but that positive and to end the game like that, we won the game. There's a lot to clean up, and guess what? We're going to play Friday against Northern Kentucky. We're going to come back after that game Friday, Saturday morning. We're going to be saying the same things. Now, obviously, the competition is going to continue to ramp up, and we're going to play against some high-level teams. But it's just one day at a time, one practice at a time, one game at a time, one film session at a time, and you hope to see a lot of growth with this group. And I think we have seen growth. But it's like all of a sudden you fix something after the Creighton game. Then you fix something after the exhibition game. Well, then something else breaks, or you got to fix something else. So. But I think our guys will get better. We have to put a lot of responsibility on the guys that have been in the program. Coach Painter talked about it last night. As good, Braden is an elite player. He has a lot of tools. The 15 assists are great, but yet he can't turn it over 6 times. And there's no one in the room that knows that better than him. He can't do that. Trey had 4 turnovers. We're always very good at taking care of the basketball. We did not do that last night, and there's no defense for those runouts. So we've got to clean that up. We're still going to be growing on the defensive end, on the offensive end, but like the taking care of the basketball and getting a shot every time down. And then if it's not a shot, you hope that it's not a live ball turnover.
Sure.
Kick it up in the stands so at least we can get our defense set. But guys are going to get better. Our returners have to get better, and then our young guys just have to take a step every day.
Well, the nice thing with some miscues along the way last night, at least it still ends up being a Purdue victory. Always a little bit more fun to learn some tough lessons in victory than it is in a defeat. This is Purdue Basketball Live. It's presented by GEMCO, and tonight we are at Walk-Ons. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Lawyer. Smith pushing up the floor, kicks out. Jacobson lays it in. Rebounded by Smith as it kind of bobbled out, but Smith's able to retain the dribble. Screen by Wren. Middle, Kaufman, Wren, in. 8 points in the early going for Trey. Kaufman, Wren. Offensive rebound, Heidi. Kicks to the corner, Colvin for 3. Got it. Good hustle on the offensive boards from Purdue. We'll slow down the offense. Back to Smith now, who's going to pull up for 3. Can't get it off the back iron. Rebound C.J. Cox. Up for 2 and knocks down the mid-range jumper.
Hit an early 3 early in the first half, and then they weren't able to put together a whole lot else after that. We'll have to see if they can play on that.
Lawyer floater was no good, but Kaufman Wren right there for the offensive rebound cleanup and the bucket.
It's tough. Grand Valley State continuing to struggle in transition. They're able to get the ball. They're just not able to finish.
Berg with the jam. First, inside. Berg got the leverage and flushes it one more time.
Yeah, great job by Will Berg there in the middle, getting his 5th rebound of the game.
Heidi looking for space. Gives out to Colvin for 3. And he hits. Jakari Harris looking to drive. Finishes with the left hand.
Well, and the Boilermakers struggle on that trip down, boxing out and getting a rebound, and that's going to be a talking point as Burgess is able to finish that one off, but a talking point for the Boilermakers moving.
A bizarre sequence of events as Fine drives to the lane and hits the 2 with the right-handed finish. His hands, now Josh first. Lusk in the corner, back to Fine. Fine for 3. Got it! Downtown, Aaron Fine. 3-0 at home in exhibition games under Matt Painter.
Well, and Purdue came out on.
Welcome back, everyone. Purdue Basketball Live tonight from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. Wouldn't you know it, it's Tuesday. Rob Blackman here with men's basketball assistant Paul Lusk. Next week, again, the coaches, I want to call it the coaches show. Sorry, it's a matter of habit over the years. Purdue Basketball Live will be Tuesday night next week as well, with the Purdue men playing on Monday night against Yale. Purdue men will be in action this Friday night against Northern Kentucky. All right, Coach Lusk, you were kind of heading me down this path as we went to the last commercial break, so let's stay on the topic of returnees. Braden, Fletcher, Trey Kaufman-Renn, 3 starters on a team that went all the way to the national championship game last year. But as you said, in a lot of ways, even though they're still playing the same position, their roles have changed significantly. It is a different look for them.
Yeah, it's every year. Even guys that have experience, like they have a lot of experience, but the start of the season you sometimes have to relearn things. But I think it's different for those guys. They're in a bigger role, not just with their on the floor responsibilities, but it's also bringing those young guys along, right?
Sure.
It's helping guys. Before the Creighton game, I heard Braden as we were getting ready to go out for warm-ups kind of tell CJ, well, this is what we do in warm-ups, you know, and then
Yeah.
and then we go back down 10 minutes and coach talks again, and
right.
you know, so it's just all of those things, and I think they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah. Braden, you talked about different roles, doing different things, even though they're playing the same position. That first game against Creighton, Braden shoots 23 shots, 11 threes. That's something we wouldn't have seen last year, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's part of the expanded role for him offensively.
He was ultra aggressive, and I think, you know, that is something we're going to need. But I think it shows then last night he can beat you in a lot of ways. When people play drop ball screen coverage, which a lot of people do, and that's what Creighton is elite at, well, then they make it a 2-on-2 game. And Braden was able to go get to his jumper and make a lot of things happen. Last night, Corpus Christi decided to put 2 on the ball off the ball screen and get it out of Braden's hands. Well, now he's able to pick you apart, and others got to make shots and make plays. But no, I thought his aggressiveness against Creighton was really good.
Yeah, and you talk about that drop coverage in the ball screen. We mentioned this, I think, on the radio, if not in last night's game, maybe the exhibition game at Mackey Arena. But the fact that last year Purdue was number 2 in the country in ball screen usage. And lots of people say, well, yeah, because you had Zach Edey, that makes a lot of sense. That's not changing this year, right? I mean, that's what Purdue does well. Just because Zach Edey's walked out the door doesn't mean Purdue isn't still going to do a lot of ball screen stuff.
Yeah,
yes?
And obviously you have a guy that can really manipulate the defense. Ball screen defense is like arguably one of the most important parts of defense in college basketball. And ball screens are used so often in college basketball that, you know, you have to have a plan each and every game, and we spend a lot of time on it. We've got to continue to get better on our ball screen defense. But yes, we may end up using more ball screens this year.
Even more than last year.
Yeah,
wow.
because one thing we found out last year was Zach's points per possession were always better, and they were higher when he started in a ball screen. Because now, instead of just anchoring him and letting the defense kind of figure out where he's at, now you put him in a ball screen. He starts out on the perimeter, then he gets down low, then we post him. But, yeah, I think we could end up using more this year.
So last year, Zach would set that ball screen, dive to the basket, and I think the phrase I've heard Coach Painter use is like gravity. He would bring all the defenders with him because he's the best player in the country, obviously. I'm assuming it's probably not going to be quite like that this year. And not that Trey Kaufman-Renn isn't a good player. He is. But he's not Zach Edey. So let's say that gravitational force isn't as strong this year. Offensively, how can Purdue still take advantage of that?
Well, number one, Zach could screen out the sun. I mean, he's just that's why he's doing great. That's why they love him on his NBA team, because he sets great ball screens and he's so big. I think when people play drop, there's not as much gravity. They make it a 2-on-2 game. And but yes, everyone was always – a lot of times last year when we would set a ball screen, ultimately it gets down to probably the big guy giving a lot of help in stopping the basketball. Well, a lot of times with Zach, they were so worried about getting back to him because he's so big. So now our guards are getting downhill. But it just depends on what the ball screen coverage is from the other team. But I think PJ, Coach Painter, Sasha, there's an answer for whatever they're doing. We've just got to find it within the game.
Zach Edey, by the way, most may have seen last night, 25 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks. Not too bad for Big Z playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll be back in 2 minutes, talk a little more of Purdue hoops with assistant coach Paul Lusk. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Bottom teams in the league, but this is a tough place to play, so we can't give away points. And there you per set. Gunter puts it in the air. Anderson going to Chacoin, and she's able to finish effectively off the block.
To get on top of it really quickly.
Team high 7 kills for Rohrbach, hitting 500. Here's Maryland's dream scenario with Schnitta serving, but instead off the tape.
It will be a really fun match.
And they split their 2 meetings last year. Chacoin. And that one finds a way down, and Purdue gets it done in 3.
Welcome back to Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO, live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. The 2024-25 Purdue basketball season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults, and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at PurdueGlobal.edu. Continuing our conversation with assistant coach Paul Lusk about the returnees. I spent that entire last segment talking about Braden mostly. Fletcher Lawyer for the first 3 games, and granted 2 of these are exhibition games, 9 shots against Creighton, 9 field goal attempts against Grand Valley State. Last night 10 against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Now, Fletcher's also gotten to the free throw line a lot, so I'll throw that caveat in there. But from an aggressiveness standpoint, is that about the right number of shots per game for Fletcher, you think, or will it vary game to game?
I think it varies, but I think what it says is, like, it's not about how many shots you get or even sometimes how many points you score. It's about how efficient you are. And, man, I'll tell you, he's been really efficient.
Yes.
And
I think he has 2 turnovers, I think, through those first 3 games I just talked about. 2 total turnovers. He's on the floor all the time.
That's what we noticed, just like how efficient he's been in the couple games that we've had. I loved last night. He had a couple opportunities in the game to penetrate, and Fletch is wired to score, and we never want to take that from him. But usually when he's putting it down on the deck, it's going up. He's getting downhill, and he made a couple great decisions last night. Little dump down passes, got Daniel a lob. And I just told him yesterday, if he can start, or the day before in practice, he made a couple good passes. If he can start making those reads now it just makes him a more difficult guard to guard. because it's like a lot of times I would say people say, well, he's driving it. If he's driving it downhill, it's going up. Well, now all of a sudden he can start making reads. I think he's been very good. We need that from him. Super efficient. And he's taken a step in the right direction.
Speaking of steps, he is so good at that pump fake from the three-point line and then that one dribble sidestep after the defender goes flying by. He's so fun to watch when he does that.
Yeah, he's, last night I think early in the game it was a roll replace. He lifted from the lane line up to the top of the key, and he had a beautiful shot fake. They flew right by him. Like, his shot fake, it's so important because – like, you have to respect that. They want to take away, we want to take away catch and shoot opportunities for guys. So that's probably top of the scouting report for him. And he's got a good first step, but he's got, when he utilizes that shot fake, it opens up a lot of things.
I want to talk about returnee Trey Kaufman-Renn in a moment, but we are near the top of the hour. So let's pause 10 seconds before we talk about TKR. We'll pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
I'm George King, and this is our beautiful new arena.
And welcome back, everyone. Live tonight from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. This is the Purdue Basketball Live Show. Rob Blackman with Boilermaker men's basketball assistant Paul Lusk. All right, Trey Kaufman-Renn. We all knew coming into the season that his role was about to change extensively because he now is the go-to post player for Boilermaker basketball with Zach Edey moving on to the NBA. How do you feel like he's fit into, again, limited sample size here, but how he's fit in so far, accepting that new role?
Good. I think he's waited for it. He's waited his time. He's put the work in, most importantly. Man, he puts a lot of work in. So we think he'll have a great year. He's gotten really good on that little short roll. He and Braden have very good chemistry, and I think the biggest thing that we've seen in the preseason, in particular in the practices with Trey, is his ability to facilitate.
Yeah, right.
And whether if he's in the post and they're doubling, he's able to make reads, he's making good passes. When he gets that short roll, because they put two on the ball with Braden, now they've got to come help. Well, he's kicking it out. He's doing some really good things. And we're on him too. He's got to continue to make improvements. But very pleased with Trey. He puts a lot of work in to his game.
Trey's numbers at Creighton: 22 points, 8 rebounds, and then 15 and 10 against Grand Valley State. 15 and 9 last night against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Not a bad start for Trey Kaufman-Renn. More in a moment when we come back to Walk-Ons with Purdue Basketball Live. It's brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
I'm George King, and this is our beautiful new arena. Robinson on the spin.
The national champion team resides in West Lafayette, Indiana, as Katie does it.
Gene Katie engineers an upset of Lou Olson and the Wildcats.
Carson Edwards. He's got flirty.
First and 10. Best the offense has really looked so far. It's Tibbs. This time through a tunnel and over to the sideline. They kept it. Now they throw it to Tibbs, who has it on the sideline. That was Claire who came in motion. They've been looking at him on this drive to the end zone. That time, it is all in.
This play call, because I anticipated an RPO, maybe something.
Engineered, you can see him very vocal here, rolling out, pressure from Pate. Card steps up, deep throw, caught inside the 10, on time to enter it again. Thanks, Mike. Now Lausch gets hit quickly in the backfield. Faked it to Maccabee. Maccabee threw a nice block. Then Card rolls out. Got pressured. Oh, did he find Edgerrin inbounds? Ross 8 crowd loves it. Purdue knocking on the door, wanting to tie the game. A big pile-up down in the goal line. And it's still moving! I don't believe the whistle ever blew. Maccabee just kept moving and moving.
This is Purdue Basketball live from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Lafayette Limo, family-owned, women-owned, serving Greater Lafayette for over 38 years. Shuttles to and from Indianapolis and O'Hare airports 365 days a year. Make your reservations now at LafayetteLimo.com. Lafayette Limo, proud sponsor of Purdue Athletics. Before I talk some more with Purdue assistant coach Paul Lusk, it's time for our Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how a former Purdue student athlete is doing in their professional sports career. Pro Boilers, presented by Indiana Kitchen, premium pork products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. How about a professional career as a coach? How does that sound? How about Stephanie White coming back to the great state of Indiana? Yeah, to coach the Indiana Fever, her second stint as the head coach of the Fever after 2 years as the head coach of the Connecticut Sun. Stephanie, as I would assume most folks listening to this broadcast know, a first-team All-American while at Purdue, led the Boilermakers to the 1999 National Championship, a former Indiana Miss Basketball from Seeger High School, and now back in Indiana, down in Indianapolis as the head coach of the Indiana Fever. What a pairing that is going to be. Caitlin Clark learning under Stephanie White. Wow, can't wait for the Fever season to get started, quite frankly. So congratulations to Stephanie White to have her back in Indiana. All right, Coach Lusk, here we go. We talked about some pretty good things in the first 30 minutes or so of the program. However, I wouldn't be a good journalist if I just had a blind eye to the negative stuff. Last night, 46 points in the paint for the opposition, and we turned it over 16 times. I can assume those two numbers there might have kept the coaches up late at night last night.
Yeah, and we as the game's going on, we chart how many layups they get. Like part of it's most teams are their defensive mindset is going to be no catch and shoot threes. All right, so that's really important. Take away their catch and shoot threes. No layups or dunks, and then no free throws. You want to, playing good defense is keeping a team off the free throw line. They were 1 of 9 the first half from 3, so we did a pretty good job there. Yep. They were 2 of 2 from the free throw line, so we did a good job of guarding without fouling. But then they had 11 layups,
right.
And the ball lived in the paint. You want to keep the ball out of the paint, and we didn't do that. We have to continue to get better at that. Give them credit. They were a good team.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with them. They're athletic. They're strong. They played very hard. So we had given up 11 layups in the first half. That's just not acceptable, and we've got to get better at it. I think guys have to understand, like CJ and Jacari do a very good job of pressuring the ball in the backcourt. We've got to get better in the half court when they do get past that initial surge of shrinking the gaps, of guys staying in front of the basketball. It doesn't matter what you're doing, Rob. Like, there is no answer if you cannot keep the ball in front of you.
Yeah, sure.
If you're constantly in help and recover, it's going to be a long night. So we've got to get better in that area. We were talking about it off air, but I think the other thing too, Zach Edey was such a dominant defender and so intimidating that a lot of times those guys might have had an angle to get in there, and they're like, maybe I'm not driving it.
I'm not
driving it down there.
Right.
He's tough to deal with. So we've got to get better. It's something that we absolutely realize, and we will.
Is it a fine line, especially with guys like CJ and Jacari who are so new to this? Is it a fine line coaching them up their on-ball defense? You want them to be aggressive, but not so uber aggressive that they're just getting blown by all the time.
That's right.
There's a fine line, right?
That's Coach Painter has always, since I worked for him in the early years, he always talked about disciplined pressure. You're not necessarily trying to take their ball. We're just trying to work them for 40 minutes, break them down, let them make some mistakes. Now CJ and Jacari have had a little success of stripping some guys, but they're also doing some reaching that they shouldn't be doing, and then that gets them out of position. So, yeah, that's a great way to put it, like not so super aggressive, work the ball handler, let them wear down, and we need to get better in that area.
This is Purdue Basketball Live presented by GEMCO. We'll take a break. More with Coach Lusk in a moment. This is Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Kaufman-Renn with the rebound off the Owen D. Smith, and a quick push up the floor to Lawyer for three.
Braden Smith saw him the entire.
There's Deese. Tipped away at Smith, who got a hand on it. He'll start it up the floor, drops it off in transition, and the finish for. 5 to shoot. Smith finds Kaufman-Renn all alone for three.
12 or 13 rebounds that were sucked up by Zach Edey last year.
Here's Kaufman-Renn with the skip. Colvin feeling it early, and that's why. Active hands for the Islanders defense. 6 to shoot. The skip to Colvin. Hot hand again. Colvin with an emphatic dunk. The rejection inside, and Colvin with a finish. There's Berg, the handoff to Smith. Lob underneath, and Berg gathers and throws it off the left side of the rim with the Islanders.
You'd love to see him just be able to flush this on the lob, but if you didn't feel good about it, you come back down.
Here's Lawyer. The lob underneath and the flush.
Fletcher Lawyer on the dribble drive, and you see those two Islander guards. You've got to be cracking down and make that ball skip out. It's a good look from Lawyer, but it's a defensive breakdown by Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Spin down to the post and Clark. Jacobson with the rejection.
Braden Smith, though, every time, if he should pass, he's passed. If he should shoot, he's shot. And right there, right on.
Williams trying to split. Kaufman-Renn with a takeaway. Here comes Smith.
Give Corpus Christi, though, a lot of credit. They came in here shorthanded, and they really battled Purdue.
Basketball Live presented by GEMCO. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking. Kids eat for free on Tuesdays. We're here on a Tuesday night because Purdue men's basketball played last night at Mackey Arena. GEMCO Constructors, supporting your Boilermakers, is the presenting sponsor of Purdue Basketball Live and a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says Boiler up. And Purdue Basketball brought to you in part by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans. Paul Lusk setting in with us tonight as we talk some Boilermaker men's hoops. I mentioned this early in the broadcast, and we'll try to remind you as we go through the season. With our new combined show this year in Purdue Basketball Live, men's and women's hoops, some weeks will be really men's basketball heavy, others will be women's basketball heavy. Tonight is a men's basketball heavy broadcast with Coach Lusk. But a couple of things about Purdue women's basketball I do want to make sure I pass along. Tomorrow night is the season opener for Katie Gerald's and the Boilermakers, 7 o'clock, Mackey Arena. Purdue Fort Wayne will be the opponent. Our women played one exhibition game, well, one that wasn't a super secret scrimmage game. Beat Indiana Tech last week, 101-50. Pretty dominant performance there. Yeah, Lana McCarthy, what a game for her. 15 points, 15 rebounds. That's not bad for a double-double. Just a little bit about our team. If you go into the game tomorrow night, no starters coming back for this year's team for Katie, but she picked up some really, really valuable help in the transfer portal. Two-time NAIA Player of the Year, Ella Collier, who actually played as a freshman for Katie at Marion and is now going to finish up her career at Purdue playing for Katie. So that's pretty cool. WAC Defensive Player of the Year, that's the Western Athletic Conference, by the way. Destiny Lombard, who transfers in from Stephen F. Austin, and Reagan Bass, who was at Akron last year, 3 times All-MAC, is Reagan Bass. 3 pretty good players there picking up in the transfer portal for Katie. Rashonda Jones is back, Big Ten All-Freshman team last year, and so they're opening the season. That's 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Purdue Fort Wayne. And then a big one, fans, if you can get to Mackey Arena Sunday night, big game for our Boilermakers because Notre Dame is in town. Notre Dame ranks 6th in the country. So a top 10 team coming to Mackey Arena Sunday night, 7 o'clock to take on our Boilermakers. If you could be there for that one, we'd sure appreciate the help with the number 6 team in the country coming. And Hannah Hidalgo, if you've not seen her play for Notre Dame, she is legit, first-team All-American. So let's pack Mackey on Sunday night, 7 o'clock for that matchup against Notre Dame. Coach Lusk, let us continue our conversation at Purdue about Purdue men's basketball. Daniel Jacobson, 7'4", scored in double figures in his first ever game in a Purdue uniform. Last time we had a guy 7'4", scored double figures in his first game ever in a Purdue uniform. His name was Zach Edey. Now, I don't know if Daniel's going to end up being a Zach Edey. If so, oh my goodness, thank you very much. But, hey, for a young guy that's just kind of finding his way, I was really impressed with him last night.
Yeah, like Zach was much bigger from a weight standpoint, strength standpoint, but like Daniel's going to be a different type of player, but he can be very good, and that was very encouraging what he did last night. I think he played 24 minutes, Rob, and just like physically sometimes it's going to be hard for him because he's a young developing body, and I think he's committed to getting stronger. He's committed to nutrition. But I liked his effort, the way he was trying to block out. You know, for him, he's been able to go get rebounds just because he's the biggest guy on the floor.
Yeah.
And now it's like you gotta block out every time defensively. You gotta crash offensively. But he's got good touch. He's shown the ability to make a three, made some free throws last night. He's a good athlete. He's quick off his feet. And then the other thing that he did, he protected the rim a couple times.
Sure, 3 blocks.
Yes, had a couple blocks, and that is so important. So very pleased with him. But it starts again tomorrow for him. He's got to come out and practice and keep working, keep getting better. But that was very encouraging, his performance last night.
Coach Paint mentioned that. He's mentioned that a couple of times, that at that 5 position there really hasn't been any separation between he and Will Berg and Caleb First and Raleigh Burgess, who played 5 minutes last night. It looks like, and again, one game is one sample size, but one real game. Looks to me like Daniel's probably the guy to get the bulk of the minutes, but for the meantime, right, we may play 4 centers as we try to figure this out.
Yeah, and like as Coach had said, there hasn't been a whole lot of separation. They all have a different skill set. Yeah. They all have different bodies. They all have certain things that they excel at. So it's trying to get all of that figured out. They all can be good for us in their role, and that's what that position is going to be, unless someone just totally takes control of it.
Right.
But they all bring positives to the table, and it's our job when they're out there to let those positives come out. And but that was, like I said, that was very good. His performance last night, being a young guy, being in that setting, the game got a little bit tight. And he did a lot of good things.
More with Coach Paul Lusk when we come back to Walk-Ons. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Lawyer. Smith pushing up the floor, kicks out. Jacobson lays it in. Rebounded by Smith as it kind of bobbled out, but Smith's able to retain the dribble. Screen by Wren. Middle, Kaufman, Wren, in. 8 points in the early going for Trey. Kaufman, Wren. Offensive rebound, Heidi. Kicks to the corner. Colvin for 3. Got it. Good hustle on the offensive boards from Purdue. We'll slow down the offense. Back to Smith now, who's going to pull up for 3. Can't get it off the back iron. Rebound C.J. Cox. Up for 2 and knocks down the mid-range jumper.
Hit an early 3 early in the first half, and then they weren't able to put together a whole lot else after that. We'll have to see if they can play on that.
Lawyer floater was no good, but Kaufman Wren right there for the offensive rebound cleanup and the bucket.
It's tough. Grand Valley State continuing to struggle in transition. They're able to get the ball. They're just not able to finish.
Berg with the jam. First, inside. Berg got the leverage and flushes it one more time.
Yeah, great job by Will Berg there in the middle, getting his 5th rebound of the game.
Heidi looking for space. Gives out to Colvin for 3. And he hits. Jakari Harris looking to drive. Finishes with the left hand.
Well, and the Boilermakers struggle on that trip down, boxing out and getting a rebound, and that's going to be a talking point as Burgess is able to finish that one off, but a talking point for the Boilermakers moving.
A bizarre sequence of events as Fine drives to the lane and hits the two with the right-handed finish. His hands, now Josh first. Lusk in the corner, back to Fine. Fine for three. Got it! Downtown Aaron Fine. 40-0 at home in exhibition games under Matt Painter.
Purdue Athletics would like to thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, Riley Children's Health, State Farm Insurance, Toyota, and Wabash, each great partners of Purdue Athletics. We thank them for their sponsorship. Rob Blackman with assistant coach Paul Lusk talking Purdue men's basketball here tonight from walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Coach, I cannot cut you loose tonight without asking and congratulating, too, you about your son, Jack Lusk. How cool is it that
awesome.
he's a walk-on on our team, man? That has to be awesome. Nice round of applause for you and your wife, Mel, to see your son out there in a Purdue uniform. How cool is that?
And he and my daughter, Maddie, you know, in the early years, they were very young. Then we were gone for 10 years, so they're both back in town. My daughter's a hairstylist, and then having Jack around all the time, it's just great because our profession, you know, a lot of times, and I've always said it, as coaches, we spend more time with our players than we do our own kids. That's just the job. All right. Well, now that's the case. It's a good thing for me because my son's around all the time. Right. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
I'm happy for you. It was so cool to see him get in the game the other night against Grand Valley State. And for our fans that don't know, I'll brag on Paul's son a little bit. He has played some college basketball. Played at Millikan in Decatur, Illinois, as a freshman. So he's not just on the team because his dad's a coach. He can actually play. He's a good player. Played college basketball, and now is, of course, a college basketball player with our Purdue Boilermakers. Speaking of college basketball, coming up Friday night, Northern Kentucky comes to Mackey Arena, 7 o'clock tip-off there. I understand we just finished a game last night. You have to get on to the next scouting report, but any early scouting notes on Northern Kentucky and what they might bring?
They've got a good program. They did not go to the tournament last year, but I think they went the year before that. They've always had a good program. They returned the player of the year in the league. He's a 4-man. They've got a lot of new guards. We don't have a lot of film on them from this year. They've only played one game. That was at Florida State last night. We do have that film.
That was fairly close, I thought. Was it not?
I think it ended up 12.
Okay, 12-point game, yeah.
So, listen, Rob, and Coach Painter said it again, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You have to be hooked up and be ready to go. And you have to respect your opponent. You look around college basketball last night, there were a lot of close games against some Power 5 schools. So we're going to have to get better these next 2 days, and we will, and then get ready for Northern Kentucky. And you can't sit here and say, oh, well, we've got Alabama, coming up.
Yeah.
No, if you do, you're going to get your butt beat. Yeah. So you got to prepare. You got to prepare like crazy, put yourself in best position to win that particular game. Yeah. And that's what we'll do.
I would say this, and this is just from the broadcast perspective. I understand coach speak when I hear it. We got to take every opponent serious and all that. The last couple of years with Zach Edey, I kind of let that go in one ear and out the other. I'm like, we have the best player in college basketball, really? But you're right. With this young team we have now, I do feel like if this team isn't hooked up and ready to go, we can get beat.
That's exactly right. And last night, that game got
down
to a
4,
position
maybe?
that it shouldn't have been
in.
Would that have happened with the generational talent like Zach Edey? No, you were a lot more confident, right?
So absolutely.
Whenever coaches are just blowing hot smoke, but no, we have to approach each and every game like it's a big time game because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I understood the coaching the last couple of years. Whenever we were in trouble, just throw it into Zach, and he'll take care of our trouble. That no longer is an option. Before I do cut you loose, I skipped over this earlier in the broadcast. I did not mean to. Couple of returnees that I haven't spoken about yet, and that is Miles Colvin and Camden Heide, who were really instrumental in that run last year, the national championship game. While they're not in the starting lineup, at least right now, they still bring valuable experience and talent to the table, right? We saw Miles heat up in a hurry in that first half last night, making those 4 threes.
Yeah, he was very good last night.
Yeah,
made a lot of shots. He had 4 rebounds. He's taken a step in the right direction. He's trying to guard, and he's made improvements there. Has to continue to grow in that area. Cam's just not in rhythm yet. Okay, and sometimes that happens early in the season, but in order for us to be good, all right, to really be good this year, we have to have those 2 guys.
Sure.
They have to be good for us this year, and I have full confidence that they will be. So it was good to see Miles. Miles can heat up like that, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
he's got that ability.
Yes.
He can make shots. He's athletic. But we have to have those 2 guys operating at a pretty high level for us to be good, and I think they'll get there.
Tell you what I like is just the physical tools that they bring. They're big, they're strong, they're physical, they're athletic. They can guard a couple of different positions. They really, right, they're not pigeonholed into just one position.
Yeah.
You can play in them a couple of different spots and feel okay with them.
Yeah, and I think like they're guys that can make shots. They're athletic from a vertical standpoint. I thought Cam's specific role last year was to come in, take wide open shots, get out on the break, but most importantly, come in and really defend. And
Sure.
he did that last year. And like you said, both of those guys, and I think Miles is starting to get better. He's taken a step. When you have those kind of physical tools, you have to be noticed for the right things out there on the defensive end, not the wrong things.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really important for those guys to give that to us this year.
I try to always remind folks about Miles Colvin. He's not even in the right class. He's a young guy.
That's right.
He should technically be a college freshman right now.
Yeah.
He was always the youngest in his high school class, so his upside is still very, very up because he's still a very, very young man. By the way, our server tonight is Go Cool, who has a birthday, I understand. Go Cool. Hey, good for you, man. Happy birthday, dude. Happy birthday. Our final segment of Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO Constructors. When we come back on the Purdue Global Sports Network, this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Teams in the league, but this is a tough place to play, so we can't give away points. And there you per set. Gunter puts it in the air. Anderson going to Chicoine, and she's able to finish effectively off the block.
To get on top of it really quickly.
Team high 7 kills for Rohrbach, hitting 500. Here's Maryland's dream scenario with Schnitta serving, but instead off the tape.
It will be a really fun match.
And they split their 2 meetings last year. Chicoine. And that one finds a way down, and Purdue gets it done in 3.
Welcome back, everyone, to our final segment of Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO. We are live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. We are here on a Tuesday night because Purdue men's basketball had a game last night, Monday night. Typically our show is here on Mondays, but again, a quick reminder, the show next week will also be on Tuesday with Purdue men's basketball team playing a home game on Monday night next week as well at Mackey Arena. All right, time for a little nugget here for you. I was thinking about this one as I was driving home last night. I thought when I woke up this morning it would be an extensive, exhaustive research project for me. It was not. It actually only took a couple of minutes, and that is with Purdue last night playing so close to Election Day. I got to thinking, has the Purdue basketball team ever played actually on Election Day? Or both coincided, right? Election Day and Purdue basketball was playing on the same day. Well, the answer is no, and quite frankly, it's never even actually been close. As a matter of fact, as I was doing my research, until the late 60s, the college basketball season didn't even start till December the 1st. That was the universal start date, was December 1. Unlike what we do these days, right? And by the way, if I could have a vote on Election Day, I wouldn't mind going back to a Division I start date for basketball. But it used to be you didn't even start games until December the 1st. So with that in mind, last night, with a game being last night and Election Day being today, that's the closest we've ever been to even being close to Election Day and having a game on the same night. The only other two times that it's come even close, 2012-2013 season, November 6th of 2012 was Election Day back in 2012. We played on November the 9th. Actually lost that game to Bucknell. It was our first game of the year. It's the only time Coach Painter's ever lost an opener. Bucknell, if you remember, came here and beat us at Mackey Arena. And then it happened again. It was that close again in 2016-2017 season, because in 2016, Election Day was on November the 8th. November the 8th, we played November the 11th against McNeese State. We did win that game. But so I guess the little bit of trivia is last night, playing 1 day removed from Election Day, it's the closest we've ever been. Considering the trend we're on in college basketball, we'll probably be starting the regular season October the 1st in like 10 years. So maybe one of these days the two will coincide. For Hunter Stunkel, for Wes Scott, for Paul Lusk, I'm Rob Blackman. Have a great week. Don't forget, Purdue basketball comes your way Friday night. Boilermakers will play host to Northern Kentucky at Mack Arena. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.